All right, folks, another Thursday here. I greet you, but please, we apologize for kicking off a little late. So the show is on. Again, the IMF reprimands. Watch your debts. Now, the IMF may perceptibly be the old enemy of Africa, but as a global organization working to foster world monetary cooperation and financial stability, Nigeria, as a potentially rich country that catches its fancy, cannot be allowed to flounder. IMF says our debt profile of 22.3 trillion naira as at June 30, 2018, can trigger a scandalous crisis of immense proportions. Only a true friend will stab you in the front. So we have a discussion this morning. Quickly, my two guests are here. Kola Ogunleye is a chartered accountant, a tax expert, economic policy analyst. I greet you, Mr. Ogunleye.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
My second guest is not a new face. Mukhtar Mohammed is a stockbroker. He's been stockbroking for moons now and making a lot of money in the process. He's also a financial analyst. Welcome.
Thank you, citizen.
So the IMF has reprimanded us again. This is an old story. You know, the IMF big lady, the first lady of IMF was here the other day. So is she crying foul? Is the IMF, if I put it that way, crying foul regarding our debt profile?
Well, the IMF is really doing what it is supposed to do. Don't forget that we are a member of a number of countries.
189?
Yes, countries who are with the IMF. And in fact, they come here all the time. They write reports on our economy. They monitor our economy. Don't also forget that there was a time when we were supposed to take an IMF loan, and Nigerians said no to that, and we implemented their conditionalities. So they've always been looking around, trying to make sure that...
We didn't take the loan,
we didn't take the loan,
implemented
the conditions.
Was that wisdom?
That was great wisdom at that time.
Okay.
Now, but today, Nigeria has found itself in a situation that is most unpalatable economically. We have a very high debt profile. Our revenue situation is very low, and that is requiring what is called fiscal consolidation, not fiscal expansion. And what compounds Nigeria's situation is the fact that not only is the government at the center guilty of debts, I mean, a lot of debts, but what they have computed, what they have cried out against is just about maybe about 50–60% of the total debt in the economy. Because in actual fact, we have about 37 economies operating at the state level, at 36 subnational economies with rising debt profile. Most of them without revenue generation of their own, other than what they pick up in Abuja. So we are in a real big shit. And what we need to do, as the discussion continues, we'll also hint at that. But talking about what the IMF has done, it is a wake-up call, and we should take it from that point and begin to work on how we are going to manage the situation, because the disadvantage, the deleterious effect of a rising debt profile for a monoproduct economy that is not diversified, that does not have any other revenue apart from oil, and that has a large growing population. That's a big one.
Yeah. Mukhtar, you know, the man on the street would have listened to his grammar and would tell you ordinarily, Shebi, we they make oil money from oil. So ordinarily, the rising price of the barrel of crude, $82.12 per barrel as of this morning, should be good news. But there is, as always, the temptation of taking things for granted.
Well, it depends on where you're coming from, depending on how you're looking at it. The good news in the sense that the revenue comes to the government coffee, we have so much, we're making so much money, there's relatively peace in the Niger Delta. Bad news in the sense that as the price of oil goes up, that means the price with cost of importation of this oil product into Nigeria goes up, and that means subsidy goes up too, because up till now, this current administration is not clear on the subsidy policy. All we know is that they are paying subsidy. How much are they paying? What are they paying? What is the landing cost? They seem not to tell us. So that's the good news. The price of oil is going up. The bad news is that when the price of oil goes up, that means indirectly there should be a hike in price in the local market. And you know what that would do to the Nigerians themselves at this moment, going by what he said. The economy is really in a shambles, but it's redeemable. It's redeemable if we've done the right thing. It's redeemable if we go back and do the right thing.
This is why the IMF is looking at this child full of potential, so you must smack the child.
Yeah, it's good, but the challenge is that when you talk IMF and African countries seems not to listen to IMF, because they will tell you that name one African country that IMF's policy has been able to take out of debt or out of poverty level into prosperity. IMF loves making the noise when you are not doing well, and when you are doing well, they don't seem to come to tell you how you can do better. The thing IMF always do to African countries is to pile more debt on you people. Come take more, come
okay, that's
take more.
the perception.
That's the perception. But when you look at it really, like he said, they are like a global watchdog. The international investors listen to what IMF is saying. The foreign direct investor listen to what IMF is saying. Anybody that wants to do business with you as a country or with you as an individual from that country will definitely refer you to what IMF is saying and to ask whether is it really true, this is what is on ground. Unfortunately, we had a great opportunity when the price of oil was $30 per barrel when this administration came to power. We were busy talking about diversification of the economy, trying to make sure that oil is not our key economy. Immediately the price started edging up, gets to 40, gets to 50, gets to 60. Nobody is talking real diversification now. Before then, all state was thinking of how they can begin to look inwardly. But today, the state finance commissioners, once it's the end of the month, they are in Abuja with their calculators and saying, look, we are ending more now, you have to give us more. And the challenging thing, when we're in recession, people said, we should spend our way out of recession. I remember I came to this program and said, it's not good to spend your way out of recession. It's good to invest your way out of recession. And we didn't do that. And what happened in recession was there wasn't anything the government did differently. There wasn't anything any economy did differently. It was just because the price of crude moved from $30 to $50, and then we're out of recession. It was not rocket science. There was no any economic policy that you can tick to. The only policy you can tick to is the stability in the exchange rate, which has to do with the import-export window that was created by the CBN. That is the only policy that has come to stay. When you look at during the recession period, that is the policy that made us have a stable exchange rate. The fiscal policy in terms of infrastructural development, we have invested so much infrastructure, but we are not even investing in this infrastructure based on our own, maybe on what we earn. We're investing in most of this infrastructure with our loan from China Development Bank, from international donors. We are not investing based on that, oh, this is what we earn from oil, we are moving. Then we leave a key factor in terms of our spending our way or investing our ways out of recession by not investing in the capital, in the human capital of the Nigerian. And trying to, when you do that, then you do the social investment.
Which is latent.
Which is very key. You remember the world richest man at that time, Bill Gates, came here and said, look, your economic recovery policy is good. Everything look, but I don't see a place for human development, which is key. Every person is your personnel that you have in a country that makes the economy. They are more important than the infrastructure. The infrastructure will decay if you don't have key personnel to handle this infrastructure.
Yeah. Kola, you know, my mind goes to, say, Kenya. The greatest export of Kenya is tourism.
Yep.
Tourism is to Kenya as oil is to Nigeria. So if we're stuck with oil, nobody can quarrel with that. But the IMF is also talking about reforms in the oil sector. So my mind quickly goes to the petroleum industry. There's a G added to it, Petroleum Industry Governance Bill. Up till now, that bill is not law.
Well, let me take it from where he stopped and make the following statement, that what we have today in Nigeria is not economic management at the fiscal level, we are just going on and on and on without a defined.
We left them for God.
Yes, we do not have a defined development path that we want to follow. Okay, part of the problem is that you have your oil industry, which is the golden goose that lays the golden egg. But what are you doing to it? How can we tell the whole world that even after we have a change of government that came on the mantra of good governance, integrity, and all of that, up till today, we don't have a petroleum industry bill. And therefore, most of the shenanigans that are going on in that industry continue. It is the most opaque part of our industry, of our setting. It is opaque, it is not transparent. Accountability is not there. They are not taking care of the people there in the Niger Delta, and all of that. And
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Mr. President is the substantive oil minister.
Well, that's a big one, because, I mean, he wants to make sure that he takes charge of that. But considering the volume of work he has to do and the burden of responsibility that the petroleum industry requires, I think maybe part of the thing that we need to say at this point is that we may need a substantive petroleum minister who will oversee that ministry comprehensively and properly. But I'll move on from that straight away and go to the fiscal regime. The only way the states, I have told you something, that the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory constitute a major part of our economy. The other day I was at the IMF and we were talking at Washington, and I said, you guys come here, you stay in Abuja. Are you sure you know what is going on at the subnational level? It was not a big deal at that time to do subnational economy. But I said, when you stay in Abuja, what happens in Ogun State, in Oyo State, in Anambra, in Bauchi, affects the economy and affects the common man more. Even when you want to do your human capital development, or you want to give loans, or you want to take any policy, you don't have to stay in that place. You have the data. But I must express to you today that the World Bank, the other component, has decided to concentrate on subnational economy. Because what happens in Abuja is just about between 45 and 55% of the economy. If you look at the total capital expenditure as reported by the Central Bank annual report that came out, the one that is in draft form right now, is saying that the expenditure that is undertaken, even at the state level, is humongous. And they are also going into serious debts. So if you look at that, and you look at the oil-based economy, nobody depends on the extractive sector anymore to progress. But you can use it as a foundation.
Any more than we did.
Yes, because the youth, the people of Nigeria are your greatest assets. And out of that group that we call the people, the youths, what's happening to them? So when you look at the economy, you look at the debt, because there's a concept now, the concept of full financial statement for governments. What are your assets? What are your liabilities? Because we are looking at debt, which is just a component. But there is also assets. We have infrastructure that have been built that need to be maintained. But your greatest asset are your human capital. If you do not work on them properly, we won't have a future. So even as IMF is warning us about our debt, the danger of debt is there. If there's any, God forbid, if there's any recession now, Nigeria will be thrown off balance again, because you will not be able to manage it.
Mukhtar, the economic counselor of the IMF, his name given here as Maurice Obstfeld, admits that there is a growth rebound in Nigeria and other sub-Saharan African countries. So growth rebound to me is grammar. Break it down for the man on the street.
When it comes to growth rebound in Nigeria, when you see they say we are going to have a growth of 1.09%, that's what the IMF said. Look, it's
1.9.
1.9%. So that's what the IMF said. Look, growth rebound in Nigeria is just when they want to calculate our growth rebound in Nigeria, they look at our oil. They look at how much we are exporting. They look at how much revenue that is coming to us. That's just the only yardstick they use to create our growth rebound. You don't look at the like you said, the non-oil sector, which is the key. The SMEs, nobody's looking at them. America, China is the world's largest economy. America is the world's largest economy, followed by China. Not based on government revenue, but based on the enterprise of the people.
Earnings.
Earnings from the SMEs, small, medium scale. Google, which somebody was telling me, Amazon Amazon earns more money than Nigeria. A company in the US, one company makes more profit in a year than Nigeria. So we are talking about an individual. So you could talk about an entrepreneur. But what will we have in Nigeria? Instead of government being the key drivers of sound economic policy that would in turn have a bandwagon effect, we have more entrepreneurs. What we see is that government becomes the economy. They want to be the key economists. The level of borrowing, both indigenous, corporate, foreign, is not being led by the oil industry, like Shell or like Chevron, like Owando. It's being led by government. And what is government doing? Most of all this borrowing that is involved in governance goes into capital, recurrent expenditure, not capital expenditure.
It goes into allowance.
By design, or by design, is it designed to be that way?
Let me.
In Nigeria, it's by default.
By default, it's not designed like that. But let me explain certain things for you. Yeah. Even as we talk of revenue and debts that he just referred to now, what is the revenue? The revenue that we make globally in Nigeria, the one, whether tax revenue, oil revenue, what percentage of our GDP is this? Less than 6%. That is not a revenue that can carry you through. So we are even talking about a tax revenue that is yet to hit the right track. In Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, most of them are already doing 13%, 10%. Nigeria is still doing less than 6%. Until this new regime came in, we were doing less than 3%. So we have moved to 6% now. So but what we are saying is that our revenue profile, because the economy, that is the thing. Once your fundamentals are wrong, you cannot get a good revenue base, because the real base for revenue is a sound economy where everybody is doing well. But even those who are doing well in Nigeria today, are they paying their fair share? To quote Obama, everybody has to pay his fair share in terms of revenue. We cannot continue about complain about this country, and that is why even our democracy is suffering, because the tax revenue that should drive people's participation in governance and hold people, government accountable.
Kola, let me quickly add this so I don't forget. Our earnings from experience usually will go up in servicing debts, and the principal is there begging for attention.
That is
so. I take you back to the Obasanjo years. We were told, some of us were naive, economically speaking, when we were told our debts had been paid off.
Yes.
So you expected us to chart a new beginning from then until now.
Yeah, but that did not happen. That did not happen because the appetite for spending,
for luxury,
for luxury things, for things that are not needed, is not curtailed. You see, the way we manage the economy, do you know we manage this economy as if it is a middle-income economy? We are a poor country.
Yeah.
That's the honest truth.
Yeah.
This is a poor country.
Kola, but my president does not need to be an economist. I know that in his team you have economists who are versed in their business. So advising him day in, day out. Yes. Economists, he's smiling. I hear if you line them up from Lagos to Sokoto, they won't all agree.
Yes. But there are fundamentals they agree on. There are fundamental savings, investment. You see,
those are the key.
Those are the two key things. But if you keep spending, you know, it's just like a microeconomy in your home. Once you are used to spending more than you are earning, you know, BJ said it long ago. Yeah. So you will land yourself into trouble. What is our appetite for investment and savings? You always tell me that also our wage income, I have to go to that.
Yeah, I was going to go to that. Yeah.
Our wage income is too low. Therefore, what has happened is that most of the people are barely living and existing. They cannot, in all honesty, contribute to the pot. And when I was checking, the credit extended, just like he said, the credit extended to the different sectors of the economy, according to the central bank report. You see that what goes to all these small scale businesses and all of that is so small. And I was also shocked that manufacturing did not get the right percentage it's supposed to get.
Or because the manufacturing subsector never made inputs
No, they did, because we have a Manufacturers Association, we have NASIMA, and all of them. All of them make input into the budget.
What do they do?
It is the faithful implementation of your vision that will take you to where you are going. When you have a situation where you just, look at our budget, for instance. The other one was passed in June. Okay, so even if you have anything you want to do for people, and don't forget that the only way any government agency, department, or state can motivate, can influence the economy is through the budget process. So if your budget process...
Implementation.
Yeah, implementation is a problem. So most of these ideas that they talk about are there. But 6-7 months into the year, you have not even started implementing them.
Wow. Mukhtar, listening to him, I think I don't understand what he's saying. Nobody said, I do, but let's talk about something else IMF is saying. IMF is saying proactive banking supervision is important so that we don't go back there. When you hear a bank has gone down under, it reminds me of what the last but one CBN governor said. He said, banks don't die, they are killed.
Well, that's the truth. Because banks don't die, they are killed, and they are killed by who? By whoever is running it, the chairman, especially in Nigeria. But it's not only in Nigeria, even banks all abroad.
Let's talk Nigeria.
Everything. They are killed by those running those banks. And unfortunately, it's like they say, sometimes the regulators, which CBN themselves, are not left out of the blame game, because some of them are not doing their regulatory work very well. Let me give you an instance of the current the Sky Bank that become Polaris Bank of recent. This is a decision that people expect CBN to have taken 3 years ago. Okay. And they were delaying.
Presumably, the problem was identified 3 years ago?
It has been identified 3 years ago, because if you watch the CBN governor, if you remember his speech 3 years ago, they still complain about they wrote a letter to them to recapitalize. So at that time, you were not wielding the big stick. And then that comes to where? Do you have the political will to wield the big stick? Those are challenges, because any bank, any systemic failure of any bank is a risk to the economy. Look.
You don't think that phrase, political will, is a cliche? You don't think?
I don't think it's a cliche. When it comes to...
No, I would have thought it was imported from somewhere.
No, when it comes to a developed economy, like you said, an economy that has system, an economy that has vision, an economy that is being run based on layout
the political
principles.
will goes without saying.
You don't need what you need is leadership. Leadership. That's why an American president can come in, the FBI can challenge him, they monitor the economy, the governor of the Central Bank of America can challenge him and say...
Strong institution.
Strong institution. But what do we do here? We build strong men. Men that are very strong. They are the ones that run. Once they are gone, then we bring on that person if he's not as strong as them. Look, no matter how much you practice democracy, when there is no economic stability, when there's no economic prosperity, it leads to nepotism, and it leads to anarchy. So what we are driving here now, what is sustaining the Nigerian, the average Nigerian now, what is really sustaining us as a nation, what is sustaining us as the individuals in this country, is the hope that in the local palace, one day it will be better.
Kola, at the risk of getting stoned on the street, I hope I don't get to, I can tell you here, and you will say yes to this, hopefully. The richest black man is a Nigerian on the planet. The richest black woman is also a Nigerian. And on the list of 20 richest pastors on the planet, 7 are Nigerians. Where's this poverty coming from?
Yeah, the poverty is coming from
here. From here.
Yeah, from bad. Let's face it, bad economic policies and decisions.
So how come your man is the richest and your woman is the richest? Okay.
Even in a bad economy, there are some people, because what a bad economy creates is it creates unequal advantages and situations for people. Okay? So one person out of 190 million person emerge as the richest person, and the rest are just so poor. That should give you something. That does not need economic jargon for you to understand that there is something about the distribution of economic opportunities.
Of wealth, as they say.
That is, I will not even look at wealth. I will look at the opportunities that are available to individuals in the economy. It is skewed. That's another language you want me to explain? It is not
designed.
There's a diagram that we call the bell-shaped diagram, you know, the Gaussian curve. That one is like, okay, symmetrical. But there's another one. It will just go like this. So that's, or go like this. That means it's skewed. That means a few people at the tail are enjoying and the majority are in poverty because of, and it has been mentioned, even by the IMF itself, that is not interested in it before, that if you do not address the vulnerabilities within the economy and make everybody an active participant, create opportunities for everybody, nothing will happen to your economic progress. Because the Monitor, a very important publication of the IMF, just came up now. It came up in April and was talking about choices. What are the choices that you have to make? Now that debts are growing up again, you know this is the 10th anniversary of the financial crisis. And what led to the financial crisis? Debt. We all know debt at the financial level. Now governments are having what they call elevated debt levels.
All right, we'll break that down. After this break, we'll go on this break, but again, as we say, it's becoming a swan song. What the Naira loses in speed, it gains in distance. We'll be back. All right, folks, welcome back. Please don't lose it. Again, the IMF reprimands or warns, watch your back, watch your debt. That's what the IMF is telling us. There are so many ingredients. The two gentlemen are still here, Kola Ogunleye and Mukhtar Mohammed. They are gentlemen who should know. Yeah, so I don't break my heart any more than you have done. Yeah. Let's begin to talk about the way home.
Yes, one of
Obama was not and is not an economist.
Yes.
He's a lawyer.
Yes, yeah. And you know, it took the great Bill Clinton to remark that what he had done on the economy, even me, I couldn't have done it. Not even Bush could have done it. Not even Reagan could have done it. He literally, it took America literally from the depths and back to recovery. And how did he do it? Very simple. When he got elected, he felt that, this is a bad situation. And he's been briefed anyway.
When he saw the book?
Yeah, when he saw the... No, he's been following it. Okay. Unlike here, that you wait until you get there. He's been following. There is information. There's data. So he's been following it.
Meaning you are preparing for leadership.
Before Bush left office, and once Obama was elected, there was a transition time. He has already called him in. Look, this is the scale of the problem. We need to take this decision. How much should we do as bailout fund and all that? But beyond all of that, what Obama did that impressed a lot of us is that he assembled a quality team, economic team, almost immediately, led by Professor Summers, and then locked them up in a room. I said, how are we going to do it? What's going to happen to this side? These banks, when they go, how are we going to support them? What about the people decision? They started this conversation. They call it strategic conversations around the economy. It has been reduced to a book. When Obama says this is the way to go, the economists there will say that will not work. Okay, you will say what will work, but I want my people not to suffer. How are you going to do it? This is the way it happened. It did not have to be an economist. But he must have the orientation that economy is the foundation. And that economy is not equal to paying salaries. Let me explain. Let me explain that.
Okay.
You should know that economy is not about salaries of government workers being paid.
Regularly.
So we had 2 bailouts since the government came in to save, quote and unquote, the states.
I thought there was a third one.
Yeah, but we had 2 quick ones on paying salaries. Okay,
and salaries in some states are still largely.
Yes, they couldn't have paid because most of the states are not fiscally sustainable. There's something called fiscal sustainability. That is, you need to create entities that are fiscally sustainable. Debt sustainability is a component, and then the way you manage your expenditure, and then the way you mobilize your revenue. When states are without revenue sources of their own and they have to go to Abuja, that's not fiscally sustainable. We can get to that some other time. But one key thing is that a governor or a president does not need to be an economist. He does not need to be a chartered accountant. But he must have the right orientation about public financial management and about how his decisions impact on the economy.
Put simply, he needs to be a bus-stop economist.
Well,
when I say bus-stop, buying, the president could be buying and selling before he gets there, but he gets a team.
Trader from Aba will as well make a good president, because he already knows
the dynamics.
The dynamics, and he knows that if he pays salaries of only a section, what happens to the rest of the population? The recurrent expenditure of our various governments goes into paying salaries of civil servants
and servicing debt.
And servicing debt.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So there must be a way back home.
The way back home? Be a strong institution. Come out with, like I say, clear-cut vision. Where are we going to? This administration came in with the goodwill of the people. It is the first administration that hiked the price of petroleum product without a single demonstration.
Okay. That's giving the understanding of the populace.
The populace believe them. The populace believe them. They believe the man in charge. They believe, oh, look, it means well for us. And we are where we are today because after that, there was no any clear vision. Where are we going to? They came up with the economic recovery team, economic recovery
program.
And growth program last year. And as I'm talking now, as I'm saying now, they are still saying it's still in the laboratory. They are still working on details. What the only key thing they want to start implementing is infrastructure. But even in this infrastructure, there are no infrastructure that can happen overnight. They're going to take time. And nobody is thinking about the human capital. So rather, we are giving our key sectors to the Chinese, both to manage our infrastructure and both to take care of the human capital.
But there was a lacuna, as they say in law. The gap was gaping.
Look, social investments. Have you seen any government come to Nigeria and telling us how it's going to improve the educational standard? Or make sure that local government that are in charge of primary schools are being empowered for us to have good primary schools? We see, the challenge in the nation as we stand now, people will tell you, is that the upper class don't want to have any lower class. So they keep on recycling their own children. Continue to be the upper class. Well, you know, in a normal economy, you have three classes of people. You have the upper class, you have the middle class, and you have the lower class. In Nigeria, we have two. We have the upper class, and we have the lower class. Lower class. And the middle class are the ones that help build the economy. So as a standard, we don't have...
Where do you belong in?
Me.
You don't know?
I don't even know.
Okay, while you are thinking about that, let's welcome Kennedy. He's in Port Harcourt. Kennedy, I greet you.
Yeah. Hello, good morning.
Welcome.
All three of you, very interesting gentlemen. Please, I would like to direct my question to Mr. Caller, the chartered accountant. I like the way he speaks. He's so very, very direct, and it seems like somebody who is so very, very grounded. But there's a question I would like very much to ask him. As well as much as he knows, has he by any means or by any chance somehow presented himself to an office?
Kennedy, I'm not interrupting you. Put this man tomorrow in the Minister of Finance, he messes up. That's what he's telling me here. But go on, Kennedy.
Sure? Yes, because the truth is, I have been listening to his attack on our system and how solutions can be profiled. So, Mr. Caller, I would really advise you to put yourself forward. Let's not just sit back, put our hands and reel out.
I think I have an answer to that.
Yeah. Ourselves to direct this way forward.
Okay.
Then number two, from what I see, what our so-called government, I use the word so-called government because...
Please don't use it. Don't, Kennedy, don't. Our language here is straightforward, okay?
I apologize.
Our government, yeah.
I apologize. One thing our government has failed to do, our government has so failed to take advantage of the resilient nature of us, the people, Nigeria. Something, the young man in suit said something a moment ago, that there was a time where price was increased without a single demonstration. How come our government are so the way they are and have failed to take advantage of the resilience of the people to bring in well-meaning policies?
All right.
Because the truth is, if we see these policies are working for, I am sure we sure don't know how to bend over backward and see how they work out.
Thank you, Kennedy. Kennedy, I can almost tell the last line of your submission. It's no rocket science. Kola, don't go into government, then go give your DNA. So, but he has made a valid point.
You see, let me just say this much about
in reaction.
Let me respond to him and thank him for the compliments. But to say that if at this age we are still standing talking about Nigeria, it shows a level of resilience that he talked about. It also shows a lot of courage, because facing this situation in the last 5 decades is not easy. And when you look at how we started as undergraduates some 30 years back when we left school, you will imagine that this country should have been better. But we need to continue to hammer it and get involved. I told a friend of mine about 2 weeks ago, he posted something on Facebook, and I said, Leke, what are you talking about here? Get involved. And he said, Kola, I'm ready. I mean, it's no longer something we can leave to government alone. Everybody has to participate. That's one. Two, if you look at the kind of people that we have in government, how do we recruit participants into government? We need to. Let me say this. Myself and a friend of mine, who was the commissioner for finance in Ogun State, we were talking at the time, and we said, if you look at other countries, there is a level of preparation before you get into government. One person, one accountant or one economist cannot do it. Everybody needs to have some basic understanding of the implications of what they called good governance or public financial management and all of that. Where do they get the training? So we need part of the solution, because we are going to solution now. Part of the solution is that we should insist that those who will go into our various government get some minimal level of training and education, at least in public financial management.
And leadership.
And leadership,
I look straight into your eyeballs and I'm tempted to believe you. But let me reach out to Nelson. Nelson is waiting patiently in Benin. How are you, sir?
Good morning, sir. Uncle Jones.
Welcome.
Yeah. Let me just start from the basis. The issue is that our problem in Nigeria is that leaders who does not have sense of directions are elected. What do I mean by that? Because our politics is cheap. As long as governors continue to run down to Abuja to get salary, we will continue to remain in this problem. If our government system is decentralized, whereby governors will now brainstorm on how to finance their state, you can see that people without no sense of direction will not go into the government. That is just the plain truth. It's just like, let me draw an instance from a farmer. How can a farmer plant and harvest and eat all that he harvests? It doesn't make sense. And two, we have the richest black man in the world in Nigeria, the richest black woman in Nigeria. What is wrong? Why are we still poor?
Okay.
The reason is that because black men are carefully...
The black man is black.
I've carefully studied the difference in character between black and white. Black, we believe in materialistic things. the whites believe in history.
In what things? Thank you, Nelson. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you. Your sentiment is very well understood. But please, the president is not the only man in the kitchen. Let's look at the engine room of government.
Civil service.
No. The National Assembly here. The National Assembly makes laws. And at the National Assembly, we have lawyers, a motley crowd of lawyers, accountants, name them. The Senate president is a medical doctor. He doesn't make any less a man who understands the dynamics, you know, how a country runs. They go abroad once in a while.
Not once in a while. Always.
Okay. Because they never took me along. So talking about solutions, don't you think the engine, the National Assembly, we need it here?
You see, when you talk about the National Assembly, you see, we've made our democracy have a lot of bottlenecks. And we make it look, it's like in the civil service structure. More or less, our democracy is more or less like we have the bureaucracy issues that has to do there. If you remember, the National Assembly, we say they've done some laws that are good, even the PBI, Petroleum Industry Bill for governance, we changed the name, whatever. We've sent it to the president. And the president still has the power. Like somebody said, Reverend Matthew Coker was saying that a Nigerian president is the most powerful in the world. Once the president said, I'm not signing this bill, it comes back to the National Assembly. And that has what...
But he gives reasons for not signing.
Then you do that, you try to, let's give a certain, let's give, not even an economist, we're talking about the Electoral Act bill. It has been sent to the president, and 4 times it has been returned back to the National Assembly.
Because what?
Because of, well, he picked up his bits and fine, they correct it, they take it back there, they see another thing, they bring it back. Look, like he rightly pointed, like you said, look, leadership goes beyond qualification. Leadership goes with a passion, with a desire to serve. That's where the slogan of servant leadership comes to play. And he said it again. In developed countries, let's talk about Barack Obama as a black man, where the man was saying black man. Let's go to a black man. A black man that met J.F. Kennedy in 1963, shook his hand and said, my desire is to rule America.
To be number one.
To be number one. And he started planning towards it. You mean he went through all the processes? What we call local government, council, House of Rep.
He didn't require a prophet to
tell him that he will become a president.
Yeah.
But what do we see in Nigeria? We see in Nigeria whereby somebody wake up in the morning and say, my people said I should contest. My people are asking me to put myself for elected office. We are not seeing people that have vision for Nigeria, whereby when they get there, they hit the ground running.
Sorry, Mazi Okarafo, thank you for your patience. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Sir Jones, and good morning, our guests in the studio. You see, Sir Jones, the essence of going to school is to know how to read, write, and to make use of the available resources at your disposal successfully. In Nigeria, what do we see? Opposite. Look at the forecast ahead of 2030, 2050. What is the country saying? Now, last time when Trump was in the US, what did he say? He said, come next year, that all open countries, that they will no longer be tolerating all this issue of every year increasing in the oil price. That's the question. Now, we have all it takes not to borrow. If the resources we have in this country are being channeled, we're supposed to be economically, socially, politically named them, based on the democratic structure we have in this country. Now, we have technocrats, but every year, what do? We recycle. At the end of the day, who is facing it? The masses are facing it, the populace are facing it. At the end of the day, we still come back as if we don't have anything to do. An oil-producing country, look at what you're facing. When I pray, by the grace of God, the authorities concerned, they should do what? Do a U-turn and face the reality of life. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Okorafor, besides praying, you must work. That's what the good book talks about. Kola, let me face you now. I go back to the National Assembly. The president cannot single-handedly diversify the economy if it's not empowered to do so by law?
Yeah.
Ondo State, I keep talking about it, has the second largest deposit of bitumen on the planet.
In conjunction with Ogun State.
Good, okay.
The proportion in Ogun State
even
is
if you
higher.
stretch it to my Akwa Ibom, but the president, it has to be by law extracted by the state to advantage. The states can pay tax to the center. So go back to the National Assembly.
Well,
this is a democracy.
Yes, thank you very much. I have a very, very maybe slightly different view about the role of the parliament.
Okay.
Not necessarily the engine room, but it is a true representation of the sovereign. When you talk about the sovereignty, it resides in the parliament because they represent the people directly. Therefore, the power that you are talking about that they can do, the power to appropriate and to decide on how you are going to spend money and to also, I'm coming.
Make laws.
Yes, I'm coming. The power to appropriate already implies that you must make law for it to happen. Yeah. The power of appropriation is always done under the law. So what we are saying, what we have here is that do we have a weak parliament, a strong parliament, or a yes parliament, or a parliament that wants to be activist in orientation? There are different types of parliament. The parliament that you have must necessarily believe in certain vision or ideology as said, because all these things that we are talking about, we cannot talk of them in the air. If you do not have a strong party with a strong ideology, you have a lot of your members in parliament, and they will be singing a different tune from what the president is saying. There must be an orchestra to be led by Mr. President and with full support.
Who is the conductor?
Yeah, who is the conductor? And then the parliament will do what it has to do. But we have structural problems.
Okay.
If you have structural problems, you cannot solve it. It's like having malaria and you are taking Panadol. Yeah. That will not do the job.
I'm praying. But hold on. Let me go to Norway. I hear Tony is waiting. I greet you, Tony.
Yeah, good morning, my brother.
Morning, yeah. Is it morning there now?
Yeah, it's morning, just 1 hour ahead.
1 hour.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's morning. In Norway, it's 2 o'clock. I think in Nigeria, it's 11 o'clock now.
Yeah, 11:22, yeah.
Yeah, just be same.
Let's go, quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, my brother, what I want to contribute is that, you know, before you start building a house, I think everybody has plans to build a house. You cannot just start building a house without having plans. What I mean is that now election is coming up in Nigeria, right? Everybody is planning for the election now. But there's no one has plan of ruling Nigeria tomorrow. There's no plan. There's something that I'm planning to be a president of this country or to be a governor of this state. Immediately I take place, I have my own plan how to govern Nigeria. But those people that are governing us today, our politicians have no plan about Nigeria. That is one thing that is clean up there. And people that we are choosing to govern us in Nigeria, they are the wrong ones. There's none of those people that are coming out today that made to lead Nigeria. Let me tell you, a country that living today is a small country. But if I tell you how these people govern their place, how human beings benefit in the system of this country, both me, that I'm not a Norwegian person, I'm a black man, I'm born in Nigeria and grew up in Nigeria. I came to this country, I'm married, I have family, I have children in this country. But the kind of benefit, I'm a foreigner, benefit in this country. I don't think, if I tell you, it cannot benefit. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? You know, when I'm here and watching what is happening in Nigeria, I cry. You know, because our government are playing with human life. My brother.
All right.
See,
All right.
Nigeria is a full of opportunity. It's a land of opportunity.
Oh, it is, Tony.
But the problem is people that is enough.
Tony, we share your disappointment. What we have learned not to do is to cry inside our country. Thank you very kindly. Yes. We must begin to take it home.
Yes, yeah. So we talk about, yes, he's right. But what we need to do is that address those structural weaknesses, both in the economy and in the polity. And I'll start this way. The hues and cries about restructuring, it's not something done from the air. I mean, it's called fiscal federalism, okay? And it's an economic concept. It's not even a political concept. And those days when we had regions that were very strong and autonomous and they were doing well, if you have like,
quickly, yes. tell the viewer, yes. Because I'm sure you know, maybe you have forgotten, the 1963 Republican Constitution made this country a fiscal one. Yes. You know, that's why Awolowo could have done what he did.
Yes, and okay. I am saying that on this program today, we may have to return to that kind of constitution, because it is not only about regional government, it's also about the kind of government that we practice and the kind of money we spend on that government. You see 36 governors, 36 houses of assembly and all that. That's not even the problem. But even the executive, the parliamentary system will appear to me to be a better system.
You want to start a new symposium on this show this morning. How do you close, Mukhtar, quickly?
Well, all hope is not lost. We just need to get our act together. Thank God the price of oil is going up. What we need to do now, the barrel of our benchmark for oil is about $54 per barrel. And we have a life of an opportunity that is about $80-something. $82. And the sanction on Iran has not come into play. And when it comes into play,
so we expect it to
go up. So what are we going to do? We need to create that buffer. We need to save. We need to begin to save through the mechanism that have been created, that is sovereign wealth fund, whereby we can use that fund to begin to invest in key sector in Nigeria, rather than going all out borrowing.
Mukhtar, don't over-embellish everything the viewer understands. We must go. Kola, we must go. Nothing more to add. Okay? Except to thank you, Kola Ogunleye, for coming.
Thank you.
And Mukhtar Mohammed, thank you for coming. Well, nothing more to add. Only a true friend at this stage, like the IMF, can stab you in the front. I'm out of here. Join Yori tomorrow morning.